Welcome to the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, where we discuss everything you need to know about home inspection from A to Z. Brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina. We're here to share some success stories and some not so successful stories. Some things we can all learn from, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other and raise the profession. So sit back, turn up the volume, and enjoy. Now, here's your host of the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, Preston Sandlin.
Are you struggling to make your home inspection business grow? Well, have I got the answer for you. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. At HomeInspectionFlyers.com, you get 5 flyers a month. There are 3 sales flyers and 2 recipe flyers. And you can customize them to exactly what you want. And these make great flyers when you go to the offices to put in their boxes, especially if you're doing like candy bowls or something along that nature. Like I said, it's 5 flyers a month for $29.99, and they're very creative, and you just put in your information. They come as a publisher file, and you just put in your information, and then you send them off to get printed. You can send them off online, and you can get color copies for less than 10 cents a copy. It's a great way to go. I went from being a 1-man home inspection firm to a 7-man home inspection firm on this one strategy alone. So try it today. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. Thanks.
All right. Well, we are here with, you listeners are in for a treat today. We are here with Paul Bukeavich. He is a home inspector for about 12 years out of northeastern Pennsylvania, very close to where they play the Little League World Series. Paul, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, Paul, tell us a little bit about you because we'd like to get to know you personally.
Okay, let's see. I am the third of 4 boys, and God bless my mom. She was a saint for putting up with boys because we do what we do. We fight, we get dirty, we do all kinds of things like that. My dad, he's probably the biggest inspiration in my life. He was one who was a very strong, determined man. He passed about 18 years ago, but I'm still learning some of the things that he taught me, just being disciplined and dedicated and treating people right, and definitely being persistent in anything that we do.
Well, cool. I started to say, as soon as you said you're the third of 4 boys, I said, you know how to fight, I'm sure. It's not an option.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you learn now. I've got one brother, and, it's funny. I got to beat him up all growing up, but at school, I wouldn't let anybody else beat him up. Only I got to do that.
That was it. The only one who could beat them up is me.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, Paul, not too many of us grew up wanting to be a home inspector. I didn't even know what it was when I was growing up. So tell me, how did you become a home inspector? And also, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh, well, that's a tough one. I guess like any other kid from where we're at here, we're not too, like you said, we're not too far from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the home of the Little League World Series. Boy, and we eat, sleep, and drink baseball or wiffle ball, anything with a bat and a ball. We did it, and I guess when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a major leaguer. So that's how that came to be. But I spent my entire life in healthcare. I was in MRI and CAT scans for 23 plus years. Managing MRI centers, opening MRI centers. But I got to a point where we just had our kids and they were young, and I wanted to, I was definitely under the misconception here that I wanted to start my own business so I could spend more time with them. And as I got busy starting this home inspection business, I get to see them less and less and less because I'm always working.
Right.
But I guess what got me going in home inspection was a little magazine article that said you could be a home inspector for $500. And I think at the exact same time I was reading The E-Myth, which is a book that just gets your mind going about being an entrepreneur, and that made me want to start my own business.
Cool. Yeah, Michael Gerber. That's awesome. All about systems.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And for the listeners out there, I've come to know Paul through conferences and whatnot. Nice guy, but I did not know you were an MRI tech. Man,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna bring you some of my MRIs and ask you what you think about. Man, when I was 35, I tore my pectoral, and oh my gosh, I had surgery. I went through 4 MRIs. I got to the point where you know, because you slide into that little thing, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just got to where I could. You know, they ask you if you want to be sedated or not, but it's tough because that's so tight and you hear all that noise. But anyway, I got MRIs. I might want you to look at it.
Well, and you're a big guy, so it gets a little tighter in there with you big guys.
Oh, man. Yeah. Ooh, that makes me shudder thinking. As soon as you said it brought back memories.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's fine. Well, Paul, we talked at the beginning that you've been doing inspections about 12 years. Tell me about some of the changes that you've seen.
Boy, some of the changes I've seen. Well, I guess when we first started, we were doing reports in booklets, kind of a checklist, little bit essay. There were carbon copies in there. We didn't take any pictures. It was all verbal, and it still makes me shudder at the end of the inspection. We just sit down and write that report. Then I still see the clients and the realtors just sitting there watching me sit at the table write the report. But you know, we've come a long way. You know, with computers, and now you can do all them on your phones. Some of the things that I really like, though, are these telescoping ladders. I've been using them for years, but it's easy. It gets me into a lot of tight spaces. You know, they're fantastic to move around, and I can't wait for some better ladders to come out too.
Sweet. Have you ever gone back and looked at like a report from 7 or 8 years ago? I mean, I have, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's like, wow.
Oh, I have.
I mean,
I have.
Well, there's something to be said for the simplicity of the olden days, but there's also like, oh my gosh. I mean, you know, they're so much better today too.
Oh yeah. Wait, I think back then you had to be a little bit more diligent about what you were writing.
Yeah.
Now everything kind of auto fills in for you, and maybe you lose a little bit.
I agree with you. But on the other end of the scale, I think a couple of the HGTV shows kind of the expectations of people are a lot different. And then, you know, they buy a lot of fixer-uppers, and they wind up having more problems, you know, once they open up a wall. And to me, I think we've had to become a lot more defensive in our writing. And I don't like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the field we're on, you know.
Absolutely. It turns out to be cover your own, but you know, you try and throw as much information in there as you can without, I guess, crossing that very delicate line.
I'm with you. Well, Paul, tell us, how do you handle phone calls and scheduling? And what's the name of your inspection company, by the way?
Our company is called Healthy Home Inspections.
Oh, wow.
For the time being, it's still me answering the phones. Not all the time. I do have some other software with ISN where I'm starting to get more realtors in now to order their own inspections. They could do it right from their phone, which is a fantastic app, and they love it too.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll usually answer the phone. And if I can't answer it, I do have a backup call center that takes care of that for me too. So I'm not always answering the phone, but when I can, I do.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready to say, get a call center. And there's several good ones out there. You know, and I love if they can schedule online or through that ISN app. We actually offer like a $25 discount if they do that. And my goal is to get that app on every realtor's phone in my area.
Oh, yeah.
It's also branding. You know, every time they look at their phone, they're going to see your logo right there.
Sure.
No, it's great. Well, Paul, does your state have licensing, and are you a member of any association? And if so, what are the benefits of that association?
In Pennsylvania, we don't have licensing yet. I'm not a fan of it. I hope it doesn't happen, but I know some states do have it, and they do like it. I don't want to be held under the guise of any government to how to do my job. So the association I belong to is NAHI, National Association of Home Inspectors. And that was the first association that I joined, mainly because their requirements to, I guess, get started were they helped the inspectors a little bit more. They offered a program. They offered a ride-along program with other inspectors. If they would help you in this area, they wouldn't. But you can ride along with other inspectors, and they would help you become, better inspectors. But I'm also friends with the president, Troy Bloxham. He's a fantastic guy. He's a great inspector up out of Alaska, and I see him at just about all of our conferences that we go to. So, he's great to have on the board there. But a lot of the benefits from them are education. Their annual meetings, regardless of where they are in Florida or Pittsburgh or wherever they have them, there's just mounds and mounds of information. You can go through every house, but until you get another person's opinion on certain subjects, you can kind of be lost. But they have a lot of great education.
Oh, that's awesome, Paul. Do you know I just interviewed Troy right before you?
Great.
Yeah. Troy's a great guy, and he's convinced me I'm going to join. I'm a member of 2 other organizations, but I'm going to join NAHI as well. Somebody told me one time, it's kind of funny, but it's true. You can't be too smart or too good looking, and I can't help myself on that second one, but the first one, we could all help ourselves on that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to have to try and be a little bit smarter.
I hear you. I really just can't help myself on the last one. But all right, well, moving right along. Well, Paul, Stephen Covey has the 7 habits of effective people, and one of the habits that I always preach to my guys is sharpening the saw, or continuing education, or what do you do to keep your knowledge up? What do you do to sharpen the saw?
To sharpen the saw, well, I do attend some educational conferences, but mainly what works best for me is reading. I don't read as much as I should, but I do probably read more than some other people. And a lot of the books, they're mainly business books. The technical stuff, as far as inspections go, I'll get them from seminars. But I like psychology and human behavior, because one thing that we all have in common is we're all dealing with people, and
right.
Sometimes they can confuse you a little bit. So the more you know of maybe a little bit of what they're thinking and what they might be going through or not going through, a lot of those books help me get through some of that.
Absolutely, Paul. And you know what I want to throw in there? It's funny. I'm in the process. I'm right in the middle right now of buying and selling a house. I got a contract on my house, and I got a contract on a house I'm buying. So I'm the recipient of all this stuff, the inspections and the appraisals, and I realize now what, I've obviously done this before, like my 3rd time, but I haven't done it in 11 years, and it really brought it to mind what our folks are going through, and it really put a new perspective. I don't recommend that you go and buy and sell your house right away, but if you could ever, I think reading the psychology books will help, because you're seeing it from other people's eyes, and it kind of opens up your mind, but that's great. Mm-hmm. Well, Paul, do you have a success quote you'd like to share with us?
Boy, I have things that my dad said to me that continually go through my head. But probably a quote that my friend told me years ago, and it really got me going in this business, was that if nothing changes, nothing changes. Which led me, it gets me out of some stuck thinking, where everything just, you're doing well and it's going well, and then you just kind of plateau and you stay that way for a little while. And if you recognize that, you have to change something. And when I'm thinking that way, I'll go for a walk. I'll drive to another town and sit in a parking lot, just to change my perspective, so I can start thinking a little bit and change some things.
Oh, that is awesome. That's awesome. Well, Paul, I want to recommend a book for you and to any of the listeners out there that goes right along with that. There's a book called Bold by Peter Diamandis, and it's awesome. It's all about change and like in the evolution of change, and get you thinking about the changes coming forward that are probably going to happen, so you can prepare your business for it and take advantage of it. Bold by Peter Diamandis, great book, and I'm not getting paid to say this. So I'm going to double these questions up, Paul. Tell us something that people don't know about you, and what do you do in your spare time, Paul?
Well, I work. My spare time is my kids are a very big portion of my life. So whenever they're doing something, they're a senior in high school and a freshman in college, and if I'm not inspecting, I'm either going to a field hockey game, a swim meet, a lacrosse game. I travel to my daughter's games, college games, as much as I can, down to Philadelphia and wherever they can. And that's probably the most I like. And then if I have some downtime, I'll try and go golfing. I love to golf, but that's just a little getaway free time. Again, helps me think. Changes my perspective is outside. So
absolutely, you get away from this because we get so knee deep in it. Sometimes you need to get away for a fresh perspective. How did your daughter do in lacrosse? I know we had chatted before this interview. How'd she do yesterday?
Yesterday, it was their senior day, and they're a first-year program. They have one senior on the team, and they almost pulled it out. It was tied at halftime, but they got a little tired in the second half, and they just happened to take it on the chin. But it was 11-7. But it's a successful year for them. They're all learning and starting to bond together.
I hear you. My daughter is going into high school next year, and they have lacrosse at the high school. They didn't have it at middle school, so she's thinking about it. She's run track and played volleyball, but I was like, I've never played lacrosse, but it wasn't big down south, but it's starting to become big. So we might try to get her into a camp or something. See,
it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, Paul, I missed the question. Let me go back up to that. Let's say that I'm a buyer or real estate agent in your market. There are other home inspectors in your market. Why should I hire you? Is there something you do that others don't? And I know one thing, because Paul is the man with the drone. we are drone brothers. And,
yes, sir.
We've shared scars trying to catch it and things like that. But,
yes, we have. Not the brightest things, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know what I can say about that. It's my own fault as far as being in business. I don't know what really my other inspectors do. Outside of taking too long on their inspections and being too blunt with their clients, and that's only from what I hear through the grapevine. But we offer certain protection, some service warranties, the 90-day warranty, recall checks, sewer guard. Those are just programs that we offer that help protect the home buyer and the agent as well. So those are some things that we do, and I'm pretty sure, as far as I know, no one else around here does. So those are good things that I have.
Cool. Well, moving along here, Paul, you know that it's going to go downhill a little bit here, and then we'll come back up there. We're going to talk about some stuff for a moment. You know as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. When you get that call, you did an inspection for me 6 months ago, you know what's up. How do you handle the unhappy camper? Do you have a process? What's that look like?
I understand that call. And sometimes it really turns out pretty good. They're just wondering, where was this? But those are rare. When that call comes in, what I mostly do is listen, because I think they really want to be heard. Right. But I don't cave, and just say, okay, we'll take care of it. If it's my fault, absolutely. I'm human and I do make mistakes. But when I get that call, we try and listen to them, work with the clients as well as the realtors, and just try and make what's right. We want to make these situations a win-win, or everything that's mostly fair. And if we did something, or they think we did something, I did something earlier this year I can't prove that I didn't do it, but ran up someone's electric bill by leaving the electric heat on for about a month after I left, because the house was vacant. So I had a bill to pay, and I had no way of proving that I didn't turn the heat down. But that's all right. We'll suck it up and take that. I couldn't prove otherwise, so we'll make it work.
Well, the reason I said is it's happened to me too, and the same exact thing. I can't prove it, and though, there's been other people in that house as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't do it, but it could have been somebody else. But, we're the lowest man on the totem pole, I think. Right.
Well, I know that the heat wasn't working either, so someone did it, but I can't prove it.
Yeah, I've been the same way. And, and you know what happens, too? The sellers will complain. And it always seems like when they complain, it's right after they got the repair request. And they do not like you because you found stuff wrong with their baby. It's like calling their baby ugly. So sometimes I think that's a way to get attention.
And they're used to living in their houses. They're used to throwing their hip into the drawer and closing it, and that's the way it works. But the new buyers don't want that.
Exactly. It's like an old car, you got to rattle this and shake this to make it work. But
absolutely.
The new buyer isn't going to want to do that or know how. Well,
absolutely.
Well, Paul, we're going to get into some highs and lows here in just a second. We'll bring it back up to some highs. But first, let's pause for our sponsors.
Well, I'll admit this probably doesn't have much to do with home inspection, but it will help me pay for this podcast. If you're in need of anything to hang on the wall, along the lines of art, go to PrestonSandlin.com. Check it out. You can click on there if you're interested, and it takes you to Fine Art America, some of the stuff I've done. And you can have all kinds of things, phone case covers, all different size art things. So if you're looking for a gift or something like that, you like this podcast, it'll help me pay for this podcast. That would be awesome. And if you can prove to me that you bought something from it and I see you at a conference or something, I'll buy you an adult beverage. Thanks a lot.
Hey, well, I am back here with Paul B. I won't destroy the last name. I'm sorry. From Eastern Pennsylvania. He is dropping some gold nuggets all over the place. And I hope you guys are writing stuff down, unless, of course, you're driving. You can rewind it and write them down. But, Paul, tell us about a time when you failed. Take us there, and what did you learn from it?
Probably part of the most painful part of my life to date would be when I went through a divorce, and what I took from it was, we were married for quite some time, and you just get comfortable with where you are.
Right.
It probably made me get into that change thing, and whether you realize it or not, maybe you're neglecting somebody, maybe you're being neglected, and you get comfortable with what you're doing. You start taking people for granted. But, I learned that, and not just in marriage, but friendships and with my children, that relationships are hard and you got to work on them.
Right.
And I work on the good ones. I try and work on the bad ones. And even the ones I don't really want to have, I work on those too, because I know that I can help everyone, and in turn, what I learn from them, they help me. And so, those are tough. They're tough lessons to learn because they're emotional.
Right.
But they do play a big part in my life.
No, first of all, I appreciate you being so open and honest about that. And, the thing I was thinking about when you said that, what you were saying, too, you can get comfortable with your business and starting to neglect things and are complacent. And I've been guilty of that a couple of times. Thank goodness. Some of the conferences shake you out of it because you realize, like, I need to be doing some more stuff,
Oh, absolutely.
Well, on the other hand, of the spectrum, Paul, we're going to bring it back up here. Tell us about a moment where one of those I've come a long way moments. Have you had one of those?
Yeah, I've come a long way. I think this business, from where I came from, being in the medical field, which has nothing to do, with construction or parts of houses and systems and how they work, this whole business is a victory for me. I don't think I'll ever get to I've made it point, because that would make me too comfortable.
Right.
But when I started building this business, and I've never had really a down year. I had years where I didn't grow very much. But a couple of years after I started, I'm still getting still a little bit wet in it, and someone told me to give up that pipe dream business of yours, and that's just it made me angry. Well, because I didn't want anybody stomping on my dream, but, someone just calling it a pipe dream. And my dad would use that phrase a lot, not on me, but, for, I guess, some other people. And I knew what it meant, that, get off your cloud and get with the real world. But, I've grown. This business has grown every year. My relationships have grown every year. So I take that pipe dream comment to heart, because I want to help myself and in process help a whole bunch of other people. That's my goal.
That's awesome, Paul. And I don't know who said that to you, but as you were saying, I've had similar stuff, and I would be willing to bet that person has not done so well in their life or failed somewhere, and they don't want you to do well. I think sometimes people put you down or try to hold you back to justify them not doing well, because it's easier to hold somebody else back than to do what they need to do themselves. I don't know. I'm just, I just think that if you were successful and you worked hard, everybody would love you. And I found out that's not true, because you're going to make some people uncomfortable.
Yeah. I heard a comment, people want you to get ahead, just not ahead of them.
That's very true, very true. Well, Paul, do you have a favorite book? I know you mentioned the E-Myth earlier. Do you have a favorite book you could recommend to our listeners? And what is it about the book that you like?
Well, one right now, I'm finishing up reading it for the second time. It's called Leaders Without Borders by Doug Dickerson. And it's a quick read. There's only, I think, right around 100 pages. But it goes through 9 different, portions of business and life and things that, it doesn't only apply to business. It does apply to life. There's, chapters on teamwork and, your legacy and being kind and loyal and, all things that would make you a much better person. But if you take that better person and put it into a business and be a leader, you could change a lot of things, whether it be a Little League community or your business community. It's a great book, Leaders Without Borders.
Oh, that is awesome, Paul. Leaders Without Borders. What was the name of the author again?
Doug Dickerson.
Doug Dickerson. All right, I'm writing that down. I'm gonna look that up myself. I've heard of it, but you sold me on it. Well, Paul, we talked about some of the changes that you've seen. We talked about how our reports have changed over the last 12 years and whatnot. And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if you did, what do you think? How do you think the home inspections would change in the future?
There will be a machine that kind of looks like the thermal imager that takes a picture of the house and points out all the deficiencies.
Oh my gosh.
Man. Well, I think reporting is definitely going to get easier and better. I guess some things that I would like to see change and make things a little bit better is the way that the community works better together.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to work with some realtors and other clients. If the inspectors can work with the realtors really well, and the buyers and the sellers can work really well, and it all becomes a win-win situation, that will trump any kind of technology that comes up. But it's just a matter of everybody working together and making sure that everyone's paying the right price, everyone's getting what they want, and it works out.
No, I'm totally with you on that, and I'm hoping for that myself. We all want what's best for the buyer, and we all work for the buyer. The tough thing is real estate agents, most of them are on commission-only positions, and that sometimes puts them a little bit adversarial with the home inspector at times. But, at the end of the day, like you said, we all got to work together because we want what's best for the buyer.
Yeah, and we're forced to work together whether we like it or not, so it's easier if we do.
Right. Well, Paul, flipping a little bit here, and I know the answer to this question before I ask it. Have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? I know, what time is it? I could tell you several times a week. How do you handle this? Do you have any ideas? I don't think you can ever stop it, but at least contain it a little bit. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I try and talk to the parties installed or invested in the incident. I try not to throw anybody under the bus because I don't know what they're what they're going through in that day. But I try and handle it like this. If it's my problem, we'll get it fixed. And then I also explain that contractors, they're anybody else and roofers, they're like surgeons. They like to fix things and they like to replace roofs and if they get to blame someone, they can swoop in and be the hero to fix the job. I won't call them out wrong because I've talked to different contractors on certain ways that roofs are installed and drip ledges and things like that, and they all have their own opinion. And the manufacturers are different too, whether they put them in the right way or the wrong way. It all depends on the contractor. But I don't hurt anybody. Everyone has their own opinion. They're free. Anyone can give one, and all you need is a mouth to give one. So,
I like what you said. And I think you're right. They sometimes do like to swoop in and be the hero, and bring a bill with them on top of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, this next question is kind of related to that. I don't know if you have a lot of these guys in your area, but we do. It's not the majority, but they're out there. The guys who use fear, the contractors, the mold, some of the HVAC guys that, offer a free tune-up or a very low-cost tune-up, which is basically a lead generation. They're going to tell everybody they need a new system because this one's torn up. Your home inspector should have found it. Do you have those guys out there, and do you have any ideas on how we can prevent that or stop it or contain it? it seems like more and more liability is being put on the home inspector, and more people are throwing us under the bus. What's your opinion on that?
Right. Again, the same. It kind of goes back to that last question. I'll try and educate them on it. I think I've seen a few videos on Facebook or MSNBC or something where they have, they've done spy cams of people coming in and doing their fake mold inspection.
Right.
I'll tell them, get a second opinion. And if it happens to be on the inspection side of it, I'll pay for the other guy to do it. But just get that second opinion, because at the end of the day, you want your house fixed, and I want your house fixed too. So
right.
It's just a matter of getting the proper information, get a second opinion, third opinion, whatever one you feel comfortable with.
Oh, sounds good. And I saw that video too, where they had fake mold and they had a bunch of guys come in, and right away they were like, "Oh, this is going to be $8,000 or whatever." And I also saw one where they had a perfectly healthy chimney, flue and everything, and they had 12 chimney folks come in, and inspect it. And 10 out of the 12 told them they needed a new flue, and there were 2 that were honest, and said it's fine. That's scary. That's really scary.
It certainly is. Yeah, people out there.
Yeah, so maybe not just get 2 or 3 opinions. You might need to get 12 to get the right one.
You get the one you want.
That's right. Well, Paul, one more kind of negative question, and then we'll go back a positive direction. I want to ask your opinion on something. I'm bothered what I see by some forums out there. There's some great there's people out there who are willing to help, and especially new inspectors, or even seasoned inspectors. We see something we haven't seen in a while, put it out on a forum, and there's a lot of people that will help. But there's also some chest thumpers out there that not only want to tell you what it is, but tell you how uneducated you are in the process. And I just don't feel like there's any room for that if we're trying to make our profession, be more professional. Do you have any ideas on how we can make it more positive and professional?
As forums, I more or less stay away from them. I don't like to give my opinion. If I know something, I'll check in every now and again. But yeah, I don't like messing with the chest thumpers. I'll read some quotes, and then when that particular topic is starting to take a turn for the worst,
right.
of everyone knowing everything and stating what codes they know, and everyone's threatened about being shown up. I think there's some fantastic information out there when people if the topic is just there, touched on a few comments on it. But I kind of go in, get my information, or drop a little information and get out. I don't, I do want to build up this profession, because there's a lot of good that goes with it. But, by tearing people down, it doesn't make you any taller.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm hoping to do with this podcast. I always tell all my guys and my family and everything, it's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to disrespect.
Oh, yeah.
I just, even my kids, I'm like, you're going to disagree with me, but you're not going to disrespect me. And vice versa. I'm not going to disrespect you. But, we're not always going to agree. And that's okay, as long as we can do it respectfully.
Sure, absolutely. That's the best way to do it.
Well, Paul, now remember, this is a G-rated show when I ask this question. What's the craziest, weirdest, or wildest thing you've ever found on a home inspection?
Ooh. I get, let's say typical things. I found an envelope of money once.
Oh, wow.
That was about $13 in it, and I just gave it right to the realtor. I said, hey, it's not mine. I've been on 2 occasions, I've come across guns. One was a .44, just sitting the house was vacant. I don't know how long it was vacant, but there was above the drop ceiling, there was a gun in a holster. And I'm like, well, I'm not touching it. I'm not putting my fingerprints on it. I don't know what happened to that one.
Yeah.
But probably one of the most startling things was an inspection I was doing. I was at the house probably for about 45 minutes, did the outside, came in the inside, was messing around the kitchen, making noise, open up the refrigerator, the oven. And as I'm going through the dining room, someone comes walking downstairs.
Oh, no.
It was an older lady. I guess she's a family member, but there wasn't any furniture in the house. I guess maybe she had a bed upstairs and she was sleeping up there. And I was startled that, the house is vacant. What is this person doing coming downstairs? I'm like, oh. But that's you never know what you're going to find.
Oh, wow. Well, you're lucky. I've done an inspection. Somebody, I went into the bedroom. They were asleep. It freaked me out because I rang the bell and everything, and they were cool. They were actually more relaxed than me. I was, like, freaked out. I mean, if somebody came in my bedroom, I was asleep, they could get shot, but, oh, wow. Well, Paul, do you have a training or internet or marketing resource or an app or something you found that is helpful that you'd be willing to share with the listeners?
Facebook.
Yeah.
It seems to work. It works pretty well. Yeah, I know there's a lot of junk on there, but I learn a lot with some private groups that we have on Facebook, some different inspector groups out there, millionaire inspector community. It's just everyone kind of shares some stuff, and everyone helps each other, which I guess is probably rare in some professions, but. As far as a local thing, I use we have a company called Web Ad Specialty. They do all my they'll do my my printing, they'll do my shirts, they'll do my pens, they'll do all the things that I recently had towels done, like beach towels that we put down in the house so we don't mark up floors and things. And they do a great job. They're local for us.
Cool. Now, will they ship? Are they on the web?
Oh yeah,
okay.
They're on the web. They do a lot of things. The girl's name is Evelyn, and she they'll do just about anything for you. If you could print.
Okay. What was their name again, Paul? What was it?
It was Web Ad Specialty.
Web Ad Specialty. Okay. I'll check them out.
Ask for Evelyn.
Okay. I'll tell them that Paul sent me.
Absolutely.
They should give you a discount.
You'll get a good seat.
Well, cool. Well, Paul, what's the best part of your job and why, and what's the worst part of your job and why?
Best part of my job is the people. I love the realtors I work with. They're top quality. They're honest. They're probably the hardest working people that I know, and so much of their job of what they do is thankless. They show houses and show houses and show houses and put offers in, and they get rejected and go back and forth, and they have to do that all before they even get paid.
Right.
I like them. I think we have a good relationship with them. So those people are great, and I like working with the customers too, because they're all different shapes, different attitudes, different. Everyone has their own thing. They're all good. I love the people I work with. And the worst is probably myself when I inadvertently make a scheduling conflict that conflicts with one of my daughter's events. I kind of get upset with myself if I don't have their event in my calendar, and then I say I can't make it. I have to go do work.
Yeah,
that's probably the worst part. It's I don't want to miss anything that they do.
No, I'm right there with you. But that's also one of the greatest things about working for yourself is that, if your daughter gets an award in the middle of the day, you can, ahead of time, you can go to that, or you can schedule around it. I wanted to back up on something you said about, realtors, they made an offer, been rejected. I didn't realize, or I had forgotten, because I mentioned earlier I'm going through the process myself, just to get to the point where they're actually having an inspection, I don't think us inspectors realize how much work and how hard it was just to get to that point. And I mean, we went through it. I mean, by the time we actually had the inspection, we had already climbed mountains and mountains and gotten over a bunch of other hurdles. The being you're getting your finances right, getting your letter, saying you're having to send in your taxes and then, looking at houses and losing a house and the right schools, the right house, it's hard. And then you finally get to one that seems like it fits all the things you wanted. And, if the inspector comes in there and slaughters it unnecessarily, I can see now why they are so upset. And I know inspectors out there listening, I'm just doing my job. I don't work for the realtors. I'm not saying you don't do your job. I'm just saying, understand where they're coming from, and if there is a problem, absolutely, we write it down. But don't go in there and just be a show off and show how much knowledge you have and scare the crap out of them for no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they have to know so much about, you brought up the point, they have to know about the communities, about the school districts. They have to know so much. And I do not work for the realtors, but I do work with them.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to do.
Yeah, and you know what? My wife got the inspection report back on the house we're buying. It's another inspection company. I actually know the owner. I know the guy who inspected it, and all the respect in the world for him. And she freaked out. She's like, there's 35 items on here. I'm like, honey, have you seen some of our inspection reports? So I had to calm her down. I'm like, look, that are big. These aren't that big a deal. We'll ask for those. These we can fix. I had to calm her down, but it made me realize, because my wife, she sees this every day and she freaked out. So
yeah.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
I think it's good to be on that other side of the fence, so you kind of know what it looks like.
Yeah, and I knew that was coming. I was like, hey, it's going to be a lot because I do this every day. I know it's going to be a lot. Well, Paul, is there anything you're working on right now that has you jacked up or excited about?
Yeah, I'm working with my marketing manager, Adam, and we're just working on adding people and services because I'm pretty much a single man unit, with the exception of my marketing guy. He goes out 1 or 2 days a week and markets to offices. But we're looking just to bring some people in, get someone local to answer my phones. I want to start bringing in some inspectors and grow a little bit. I want to employ some more people so we can help them reach their dreams too. And bringing other people up is, really excites me.
Cool. Well, Paul, I know a ton of listeners out there are in the same position you are. I'm curious, your marketing manager, go off script here for a second. How do you, I guess you have a marketing person, if you don't mind,
mm-hmm.
how do you, if you don't mind me asking now, if it's too, you don't have to answer, how did you hire them and what do you pay your market, or, if you can, or is it a percentage thing or daily or hourly? You don't have to say specifically, but how
I pay them daily.
Okay.
Or weekly or biweekly, but it's he only works pretty much one day as far as going out in the field. We talk all the time.
Sure.
Which he should probably be compensated for letting me bend his ear. He goes out to the offices, and the way that I found him was he actually approached me. He's the pastor in my church.
Okay.
And he just has such a phenomenal way with people. He can talk to anybody, but probably the most important thing that he does is he listens to people.
Right.
He's not someone who just waits for his turn to talk and respond. He listens to them. He'll go do his marketing run, and I'll come in, maybe a day or so later, and they just grab me by the arm and they say, "We just love Adam. He is so fantastic."
Cool.
And he's a mainstay in my business, and we're going to bring him on, hopefully as like a partner, so he gets a bigger stake in this.
Cool, excellent. Thank you for the, I know we went off script there a little bit, but I was curious.
Fine.
Paul, if you had to move to a brand new town equal to the size of the one where you live now, and you had to start all over, and you had $5,000 now. Everything, you still have all the equipment, all the knowledge, room and board's taken care of. So basically you have $5,000 to market with. And there's a reason for this question, like what's your best return? So what are you doing with that $5,000 in the first week?
I'm taking it and going on vacation. No. Boy, you know what? And that's kind of in my future plan too. I'm going to take that $5,000 and I'm not going to get a room or anything. I'm going to go right to realtors' offices and meet with the agents, meet with the brokers. I'm going to mortgage offices and meet with their personnel. Anybody who I know or feel has a say in that community. And I'll probably put up some signs too, to get your name started. And then after all that, I would go right back and do it again.
Cool. No, I'm right there with you. That's exactly what I would do with my $5,000. Well, we're nearing the end here, Paul. What is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't
No, I think you kind of run the gamut there. We didn't speak a whole lot on drones, but that's fine. We're kind of coming out of winter where it just doesn't get a whole lot of airtime in the winter. But now the summer's coming up, and the little boy's going to start flying again.
I hear you. No, we could talk about that for a second. I'm glad you brought that up. So do you have the Phantom 2, the Phantom 2? Is that the one you have?
The Phantom 2, and boy, I'm seeing the new advertisements for some of the new ones, because these are pretty hard to fly. It really takes a lot of concentration, and if your satellites aren't hooked up, you can really lose that thing, and I've lost it a couple of times. If I didn't have someone looking for it and know which way you're facing, you can lose those. But yeah, they're great. If you can plan them, and now the newer ones you can plan. You can set all the sights around the house and just tell it to fly, and it does, and take the pictures and videos and comes back and lands for you.
Oh, it's awesome. Now, do you have the one with the built-in like Vision 2, or does yours have the GoPro on it?
It came with the camera already on it.
Okay. Okay.
That I do. I can see it through my phone as we're flying.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I've got that. Well, we've got a couple, and I love that one. Then we've got one that's got a GoPro on it, and I like different situations. I like each one. I like the one that you have because you can switch. Like you can switch it to take a picture or do a video. Where the one with a GoPro, I mean, once it takes off, it's usually what I set it on is you set it on video or taking pictures. The GoPro 3 and 4 has a thing where it's video and then taking a picture every couple of seconds, but you don't have as much control of it.
Right.
One thing you mentioned, if anybody's interested in getting a drone, I'm sure Paul will help them. I'll help them. I have to be careful if I get in, some of these neighborhoods with mature trees. I notice if I get down and I dip down, below where those trees are, and there's a bunch of them around, I start losing satellites. And man, if you get down to like 5 satellites or less, it's not going to stay. I don't know if you've experienced this. It will not stay. Normally you got 7, 8, 9, 10 satellites. It'll stay pretty much in the same area if you're letting go. But man, you get down to like 5, that thing starts drifting all over the place.
Yeah,
that.
You're going back and forth, and you keep compensating for it. And that's when it's hard to fly.
Exactly. And I'll give one tip to anybody out there that is thinking about doing this or has it now. Don't get cocky, because I did. I always keep your orientation the same as the drone. You know what I mean? Because I got fancy. I would go around and I would turn it around and do the opposite. You know what I mean? Where so I've learned, like, I'm doing this side of the roof, just keep the orientation the same as you, and then fly over, and then walk around and turn it back around so your orientation's the same on the back. I would get so fancy that I would turn the thing around and do the opposite. But the problem is, if you get turned around, we're doing the opposite. If you get in trouble, your natural inclination is to not do the opposite.
Right. Yeah.
And that I got in trouble twice, and finally I was like, quit getting cocky. Every time in my life I've gotten cocky, God has, he gave me a little smack down to everybody.
Done that. They'd love to keep you humble.
That's right. Well, it's either him or my wife, so one or the other. I get the smack down one way or the other. Well, Paul,
either way, the result's the same.
That's right. Stay humble. Well, Paul, you've been more than gracious with your time. Thank you. And for the listeners out there, this is early Sunday morning, and I think Paul may be getting ready to head out of town. So we really appreciate you spending some time with us. First of all, do you have a Facebook business page we can get you some likes on?
It's Healthy Home Inspections.
Okay.
I think there's a couple other healthy home inspection companies out there, but I think I have the only Healthy Home Inspection Facebook page.
Okay. Healthy Home Inspections on Facebook out of, what's the town, Pennsylvania, that you're in?
It'll be Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Give him some likes, if guys, all the listeners out there, if you got some value from Paul today, go give him some likes, because I think that helps his SEO, and I know you got some value from him. Is there any way, if the listeners wanted to follow up with you and get, learn more about you, or wanted to talk to you, is there a way they could get in touch with you, Paul?
Oh, they can go to my website and email Paul B at ahealthyhomeinspection.com, kind of all singular, A. Everyone forgets the A, so it's ahealthyhomeinspection.com. And they could certainly call me, 888-954-5575. My phone is always on. Leave a message, and I'll definitely get back to you.
Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much. You've been more than gracious with your time this morning, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Oh, thank you. It was an honor being here and talking with you. I'm just blessed to have this opportunity.
Same here, Paul. Well, have a good one.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out the Successful Home Inspector podcast. You can find show links at thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com. Check out the website for special offers, information, and other resources. Thanks again for listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast. And remember to check back for new episodes. The Successful Home Inspector podcast is brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina.